Welcome to this explainer breaking down the infamous Clip 23 from the Office Drama Stories files. Today, we're unpacking a masterclass in corporate accountability. Picture this, a tense, cinematic boardroom scene. The air is so thick you could cut it with a knife. The client, everyone labeled as difficult, a guy named Daniel Reed, walks right back into the Eastridge office. But get this, he's not there to complain. He sits down and he just slides this single heavy black folder onto the table. And that folder, it's literally bursting with receipts. He is here to correct the record once and for all.
Let's just pause to let this heavy-hitting quote sink in. You called me difficult because accurate was inconvenient. Wow. That perfectly nails a classic toxic workplace tactic. I mean, we've all seen it or felt it, right? A toxic office will constantly try to spin a totally reasonable demand for clarity into an attitude problem. When the truth messes with their shiny narrative, the person who's just asking logical questions suddenly gets painted as the villain of the story. It's wild.
And even before Daniel sat down, Senior Manager Clara was already whispering to the team, warning them that he overreacts. But strategy lead Maya Carter, she pushes right back. She says he was never difficult. He was specific. Maya remembers Daniel simply asking questions that the firm's rising star, Ethan, just couldn't answer. It's a stark, almost scary reminder that in a corporate cover-up, truth without documentation is incredibly easy to bury.
Section 1. Uncovering the fingerprints, how metadata dismantles gaslighting.
So, Daniel didn't just bring fuzzy memories to this fight, he brought hard, undeniable data. He literally places the old pitch deck right on the table. And thanks to IT audit specialist Jordan Price, we get to see the digital footprints. Jordan pulled the metadata to create a strict chronological timeline of deceit, mapping out exactly how Ethan built his so-called success on a total lie. Step 1, Maya's name gets scrubbed from the file. Step 2, unrealistic benchmarks from a completely non-existent report are edited in. And Step 3, Ethan bags his big promotion. The metadata proves absolutely all of these edits happened in that very specific window after Maya was removed, but right before Ethan got his fancy new title.
When you compare the two models side by side, the truth is just glaring. We've got Maya's master model, the original, honest structural layout, versus Ethan's fake ROI table. He completely ripped off Maya's visual layout. I mean, at a glance, they look totally identical. But Ethan secretly butchered the underlying numbers and assumptions, hiding all his dirty work in these microscopic footnotes just to close the sale. Like Jordan the IT guy pointed out, the model is hers, but the lie is not. And that lie, it cost a real client real money, trust, and a whole lot of time.
Section 2. The corporate spin, weaponizing process gaps.
Now, faced with this undeniable proof, Board Executive Victor Hale goes full defense mode. He says, apologies for the process gaps and unfortunate miscommunication. Notice the corporate gymnastics there? That intentional use of passive language is crazy. Victor's carefully chosen words are designed to completely hide the actual wrongdoer behind abstract corporate jargon. Calling it a process gap makes it sound like some random systemic glitch, right? It totally scrubs human deceit and terrible ethics right out of the equation.
But Daniel, oh, he is absolutely not letting that slide. He fires right back, a gap did not email me, a person did. Boom, hit the nail on the head. This highlights the absolutely critical difference between a systemic error and an individual's intentional deception. Daniel is politely but very firmly refusing to accept language that hides the bad actor behind some corporate abstraction. He is demanding real, actual accountability.
Which leads us to the ultimate question of the meeting. Can the person who sold the number actually explain the strategy? Ethan tries to turn on his usual charm to diffuse the situation, but Daniel completely pivots. He just asks Ethan to explain one single assumption in his fake ROI footnote. Just one. I mean, imagine the absolute tension in that boardroom right now. What happens when the guy who took all the credit is finally put on the hot seat to defend his own work? Well, the moment of truth arrives, and Ethan totally chokes. He completely fails to explain his own footnote. The entire room just sits there and watches as the man who took all the glory for the strategy completely fails to defend his own fake numbers. Because here's the thing, when you sell a lie inside a spreadsheet, eventually you are going to have to answer for the math, and Ethan simply couldn't do it.
Section 3. A transparent recovery, leadership without self-erasure.
So, with the truth finally out there in the open, Clara turns to Maya and asks her to lead the client recovery, mostly because Daniel actually trusts her. But Maya, she sets some serious boundaries right out of the gate. She says, "I will fix the work. I will not become the excuse." Honestly, that is what true integrity looks like. Maya demands that the root cause of the whole failure be recorded honestly before she lifts a single finger to help. She's totally willing to serve the client, but there is no way she's absorbing someone else's blame or becoming a pawn in a corporate cover-up.
Maya immediately rolls out a structured recovery map. We're talking documented assumptions, phased deliverables, weekly reviews, and a formal correction letter. She is laying out the exact gritty mechanics of rebuilding trust. Because you know what? You absolutely do not fix a lie with a shiny PR smile. You fix it with rigorous, transparent processes. This map she laid out, it's literally the only way to repair that relationship.
But Daniel has one absolutely crucial condition of his own before he even considers keeping his business there. Do not put senior misconduct on junior's shoulders. You have to remember, when the account originally went south because of Ethan's lies, it was the people at the bottom who paid the price. Daniel explicitly demands written accountability and rock-solid protection for those junior staff members who were unfairly thrown under the bus as collateral damage.
And Maya just perfectly sums up the whole philosophy behind this recovery plan. She says, trust does not come back because we say sorry. It comes back when we stop hiding. This connects to such a massive lesson for all of us. True corporate recovery requires absolute, unfiltered transparency. Empty apologies are never going to save a client relationship that was shattered by deception. Only the absolute truth will do that.
Section 4. The final lesson, the power of receipts.
As the meeting wraps up, Daniel leaves his folder on the table. It's undeniable evidence, effectively closing the missing chapter in the company's internal audit. And it leaves us with this vital, almost uncomfortable realization. The person labeled difficult is so often the last person trying to keep the truth alive. Think about why Daniel got that label in the first place. It was simply because his demand for accuracy was super inconvenient for the people who were lying. Holding a company to its promises isn't some act of hostility, it is a pure act of integrity.
Which brings us to an incredibly powerful, provocative final thought to wrap up this explainer. A company that fears receipts usually knows what it sold. In the corporate world, truth without proof can be buried in a heartbeat, but a folder full of hard facts, that can change an entire company. Thanks so much for diving into Clip 23 with us today, and hey, remember to always keep your receipts.